I move that we have some fun.
Any seconds?
I second that.
All in favor? Right?
Aye.
I
Aye.
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 Catherine for 6 minutes of fun.
I hope that you're having a wonderful day. We thought we would start our day with a little scavenger hunt. Have you ever done a scavenger hunt on Zoom? Very, very exciting, okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you 30 seconds when I say go, and it hasn't started yet. And you have 30 seconds to go run around your houses and find anything that relates to a fairy tale. On your mark, when you get done, you're going to come back and you can hold up your item. On your mark, get set, go. 30 seconds. Okay, counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, for this portion, you must turn your cameras on so I can see what you found. Hold up what you found. I found a tiara. Ooh, a tiara. I think I shall be the princess. Do you think I make a nice princess? Okay, Claire and Levi, tell me about what you found.
I found a little basket.
A basket, and what fairy tale would that be from?
Probably Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay, because she carried stuff in a basket. And how I see you
Grandmother.
have another friend there. What did Levi bring?
This is actually Prince, our dog. So
Oh, good. So you brought the prince, and he's a dog. Do you
The
think there's
prince.
any chance he might be kissed and turned into a real prince?
I don't know. No, just a dog.
Not today, huh?
Not today.
Okay, and what did you bring, Levi?
Beans.
Beans from
Back in the
Jack and the Beanstalk. This is wonderful. Okay, did anybody else bring anything? Okay, what is that little thing down there, Izzy? Tell us what you brought, Izzy.
It is a squirrel.
And tell me
Figurine.
what fairy tale that's from.
Makes me think of Snow White.
Ah, perfect. In the woods. Okay, great. Wonderful. Anyone else? Hold your thing up so I can see what you have. Okay. The Morgans. Tell me your name.
Jade.
Jade. Great. Nice to meet you, Jade.
And I have my sister Felicity with me.
Great. Hi, Jade and Felicity. Tell me what you brought today.
I got the Book of Fairy Tales.
Wonderful. You brought them all. Wonderful. We can just sit and read them all and have a wonderful time. Okay. Anyone else want to hold up what they brought?
I have something.
Okay. Tell us, Hiram, what do you have?
I have a
Oh,
dress.
no. Nathaniel, tell me. Wonderful.
Don't ask where I got this.
This is lovely clothing. Clothing is much needed in all the fairy tales except their emperor's new clothes. He didn't seem to think he needed any. Okay, Sophie, what did you bring?
Have like this like Aladdin lamp.
Oh, very lovely. And what fairy tale is that from?
Aladdin.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. Anyone else want to share one?
Hiram has one.
Hiram, show us.
I have a wand.
Wonderful. And which fairy tale would you like for that to be from?
This is from Cinderella when her fairy godmother pulled a wand out
That would
and
be
then all the things appear.
just look, Hiram, I have a wand too. Isn't it wonderful?
Literally twins, bro. Wait, Liza has one too.
Oh, Liza?
I have a broom.
Wonderful. Tell us what that's from.
Cinderella.
Wonderful. I love it. Anybody else want to turn?
There's no room in Cinderella.
Okay, we're going to do one more quick one. I want you to take 30 seconds and go find something that relates to the law or legislature. This one's harder. On your mark, get set, go. 30 seconds. Run, 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 run.
Yes?
The law, can I review my permit?
Yeah.
I got a pen.
We also have the book, The Law. Oh, whoops. Okay.
Okay, time's running out. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, can everyone hold up the thing that they have and we'll go quickly. I brought this and it's not quite the right shape, but it's a gavel.
I brought the Declaration of Independence.
Wonderful. What a great foundation. Okay, let's go quick. Let's see. Unmute yourselves really quick and we'll go through them very quickly. Jade.
I got the hyperinflation devastation book.
Wonderful. Okay, Izzy.
I have Never Given, a book about Winston Churchill.
Wonderful. Love it. Okay. Who else is unmuted? Unmute yourself if you're ready. Sophie.
I have like a Bible, like what they put their hand on.
Wonderful. Love it. Okay, who else?
I got a pen.
A pen.
Lucas.
Miriam, thank you for bringing a pen. Everyone needs a pen to write the law with.
I brought the Constitution.
Perfect. Great foundation. Anyone else?
I brought a gun for law enforcement.
Awesome. When you got the law, you got to enforce it.
Not surprised that Hiram brought a gun.
All right. Anything else that anyone wants to share? I can't remember if I'm on the schedule to tell you a little bit about the legislature right now. So Finn, do I have enough time to tell them about the legislature?
Unfortunately, your time is about up.
Okay. Could I request 2 minutes to teach about the legislature?
Absolutely, request granted.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you really quickly. We talked about this before. Can you see my picture? It's kind of a little bit of a broken Capitol because there's two sides to the Capitol. To our legislature. Let me see if I can see it and show you. There is the House, which is what our assembly is going to represent, and the Senate, which will be the mystery side. And I will bring a bigger copy of this to our Sim Week so you can see more clearly. I'm going to read this, but I'm actually going to not actually. Can I have it on the screen like that? Can you see that, or should I just read it?
Probably just read it.
I'll just read it. Okay, the House representatives by population, not by the whole state, and they represent their individual districts. So they're there representing their individual areas, not the whole entire place. They're allowed to initiate bills to raise revenue. So the House can start raising your taxes. They start impeachment processes if people like Hans need to be eliminated. They elect the president if there's a tie in the Electoral College. And to be elected to the House, you have to be 25 years old and citizens for 7 years. We've waived that right, that responsibility in our assembly. Some of these people are much younger than 25 years. The Senate is the side we won't be dealing with, so I'll tell you that quickly. There are 2 representatives from each state, meaning they represent the entire state. The Senate has to approve revenue raising, but they can't initiate bills for tax raising. The Senate tries the impeached person. So if the House impeaches someone, they serve as the prosecutor, the House does. The Senate serves as the court to try them. They approve presidential appointments, such as cabinet members, the Supreme Court, and ambassadors, and they also approve the election of the president. And to be elected, they must be 30 years old or citizens for 9 years. So that's just a little overview on the differences between the Senate and the House. And in our Fairy Tale Assembly. We'll only be focusing on the things that the house does, and you'll get a review of that at the sim as well. Thank you. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you very much. I will now entertain any motions.
I move that we learn why we are voting on motions.
It has been moved that we learn why we're voting on motions. Do we have any seconds?
I second this.
Thank you. The Chancellor recognizes Bonnie for 5 minutes to help us understand why we're voting on the motions.
Hi, everybody. Okay, 5 minutes. And if the Chancellor will please help me keep aware of my time. Okay, we are learning about some more parliamentary procedure today. Last week, remember, we learned about making motions and seconding, and we're continuing that. Today, we're going to add a few things. So when the meeting is called to order, we sometimes have a gavel, which we haven't really introduced, but I just wanted to tell you. We'll either have a gavel or a bell, and I want to tell you how that part works. So the Chancellor or the committee chairs would be the ones that would use the gavel or the bell. If they tap or ring one time, that tells members to be seated or tells them that they're ready to announce a vote or that the meeting's ready to adjourn. If they tap or ring 2 times, that means it's time to call to order. So pay attention to that gavel and bell. Basically, if you're a member of the assembly and the gavel or bell ring or tap, it's time to pay attention. That's the main thing that you would need to know. But the Chancellor and the committee chair can learn those different steps. So when it's time to call to order, as Nicholas did, he says the meeting will come to order. So again, the Chancellor and the committee chair will call to order. That's how we get the meeting started and officially come together. If somebody says the meeting will come to order, it's time for you to stop talking to your neighbor or whatever it is that you may be doing. Another thing that can be said in parliamentary procedure by the leader is if you as an assembly member want to make a motion, you need to be recognized first. And so you would say Mr. or Madam Chair or Mr. or Madam Chancellor, since we're going to have a Chancellor. So for instance, since Finn is the Chancellor pro tempore right now, which we'll talk about in a minute, if I did not have the floor, meaning it wasn't my turn to talk and I needed to say something in the meeting, then I would need to be recognized by the Chancellor before I could just talk. So I would need to say, Madam Chancellor, and then Finn, as the Chancellor, would say, for what purpose does the gentlewoman wish to be recognized? Or you could call me the lady, and then any gentleman would be called gentlemen. So they ask that, and then you say why you want to be recognized. Again, I'm going over a lot of these, and then we are going to have notes by the time we get to the meeting, and we're going to practice this all throughout the workshops. So if any of this you're like, I don't remember, don't worry, we'll get there. Just going to go over a lot of things, and then they'll come up again. So when and you probably have noticed is doing this time. Anytime someone's making a motion, the person that's running the meeting repeats the motion back. It has been moved that blah 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 blah, whatever has been moved. And then we vote on motions. So just because somebody says we do something doesn't mean we do it. Someone else has to second the motion, and then we vote. And we could vote nay. And if the majority votes nay, then that motion doesn't happen. Now, for the purposes of our workshop, please don't vote nay, because we really do have things we want to go over with you guys, and it might be kind of funny, but it would a little bit foil the mentor's plans. So, but in the actual assembly in Yes Week, you absolutely can vote nay. So if somebody makes a motion, maybe to debate a certain bill, and you don't even want to talk about that bill because you don't want it to get passed, then you could vote nay on the motion to talk about that bill. So throughout the rest of this call, our Chancellor will be having us vote on motions. You can just take your Zoom call off mute to vote aye when she says all in favor, or to vote nay if she says any opposed, but please don't say nay for these. And that's how we vote on motions. Okay. Then you may have noticed too that the chancellor is yielding time to the people who are speaking. It's maybe not going to be quite as strict on our calls, although we're trying to stay in our time limits for real. But in the assembly, you will be given a certain amount of time to speak when you're recognized often. And you will need to keep on that time. If not, probably the parliamentarian will let you know that you're out of time. And at that point, you can just stop talking. Sometimes you can just say, may I finish my sentence or whatever, and you can finish your sentence. If you really need another 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever to speak, as Catherine did, you can ask for more time and then be granted more time or told no. And then you can finish what you're saying if you were granted more time. Does that all make sense? Anybody? Okay, I'm getting some nods. Okay, 2 more things for today. You may have heard us say the Chancellor
Bonnie, your time has expired.
Madam Chancellor, may I be granted 1 more minute?
Yes, you may be granted 1 more minute.
Thank you. You may have noticed that the Chancellor today is called the Chancellor Pro Tempore or Pro Tempore. And that is a Latin term meaning for the time being, which means that Finn is the Chancellor for right now. And after she is the Chancellor, we will have another Chancellor for a short time. And so that's all that means. It's like a substitute person. The final thing I wanted to talk about today with parliamentary procedure is adjourning a meeting. At the end of the meeting, we will adjourn until such and such time. So those are all terms we use to keep the meeting on track and formal. And with that, I yield the remainder of my time to the Chancellor Pro Tempore.
Thank you. I now pass the gavel to the next Chancellor Pro Tempore, Hiram.
Thank you, Madam Chancellor. I will now entertain any motions.
I move we learn how to make laws.
It has been moved that we learn how to make laws. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded that we learn how to make laws. Lies in the background, if you didn't hear that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. In the eyes of the Chancellor, this motion passes. Chair recognizes Bonnie for 15 minutes to help us learn about lawmaking.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Hi, everybody, me again. I know, I was just talking, but I get the next 15 minutes too. Okay, guys, so in our workshops, we are going to be learning all the process of writing bills. Does everybody know what a bill is? What's a bill? It's a law before it's a law, right? A law before it passes is called a bill. So we're going to learn about writing bills and then debating bills and passing bills and how the whole process works. But today we're just going to focus on writing and introducing a bill. So I just want to talk you through what it looks like and then we get to practice. Okay, so first of all, who gets to write a bill in the assembly? Hiram.
Can anyone write a bill?
Yes, anyone in the assembly can write a bill. Often the leaders of the assembly, like the chancellor, will not be as actively participating, but we can, in our assembly, everybody gets the opportunity to write bills and we can make things work even if people want to debate bills that normally wouldn't. So anyone can write a bill. You can write it individually or you can write it with your committee or even a caucus, a group of people that you get together with to write your bill. Yes, Catherine.
Can I write a bill? I'm not in the assembly. Can I write one anyway?
What happens if somebody that's not in the assembly wants to have a bill passed? What should they do? Does anybody know that?
Probably like ask a person in the assembly to write the bill
Yes.
for them.
Yeah, Catherine can work with someone in the assembly to have her bill written and introduced.
Oh, goody. I have so
Yes.
many ideas.
Yes. Okay, so when you write your bill, which we're going to go over in a minute how to do that, the next step that you do once your bill is written and it's ready to be introduced to the assembly, you put it in the hopper. That's literally what it's called. I'm not making that up. The hopper is a box or a basket that sits near the front of the assembly room, and the clerk manages the hopper. So we are going to have a clerk in our assembly, and he or she will manage the hopper. And that just means keep track of the order of the bills and so that they get to be introduced into the assembly. So that's what you do. If you write a bill at the assembly at Yes Week and you want that bill to be discussed, once it's written, you need to put it into the hopper, and we will have something that will be the hopper that you will see at Yes Week. Okay. Then the next step with the bill, it will be introduced and assigned to a committee to then be further discussed. So the chancellor, working with the parliamentarian, can be working on assigning the bills to committees. And then later, there are more steps for the bills, but we're going to talk about them in future weeks. Okay. For now, we get to write a bill. So I am going to, well, first of all, we need to just brainstorm a little bit about what some problems could be in our Everwood Alliance for which we may want to write a bill. And we're just shout them out as you think about them. With all of your fairy tale characters that you're thinking that you might want to be, what are some problems that we might need laws about?
Murder.
Murder. So what kind of thing would we want to do about murder?
Make a law against murdering.
Okay, a law against murdering. I love it. I'm going to just put these in the chat. Let's have some more.
Kidnapping.
Kidnapping. You can also
Stealing.
get really specific with fairy tales, right? Like I was thinking, what about Humpty Dumpty's wall falling down or falling off the wall? Do we want to create some kind of safety measure?
No polymorphing any other person without will type thing.
Okay, no polymorphing people.
Foxes aren't allowed to eat gingerbread men.
Foxes aren't allowed to eat gingerbread men. I love it.
No eating the little bear's porridge.
No identification theft.
Okay, what was that, Eliza?
No identification theft.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and no pulling an Oppenheimer, no poisoning apples.
Good.
Did
Okay.
you say pulling an Oppenheimer?
I meant the other Snow White person or whatever.
So you mean blow up the world? Don't do
No,
that either.
Yeah, let's make a law for that.
Something to do with like curses and hexes and stuff. Like
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. This is a great list. I need one person to just pick one that we're going to write a bill about right now.
I like the Oppenheimer one.
Okay. So should we call it the Oppenheimer bill?
Oh, let's call it the fairy tale version, the Snow White bill.
The Snow White bill. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and nope, hold on. Ah, that's not what I wanted to share. Darn it. Hold on. I tried to have this set up, but it logged me out and it's not on the right thing yet. I will be just a moment. Okay. Ah, that's not the one either. I'm sorry, everyone. Just a moment. Now I lost you. Stop sharing. Okay, there we are. Can you guys all see that screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so first step, the clerk is going to assign a number to this bill. So we're going to call it A, B for Assembly Bill. And then this is number 1 because this is the first time in our assembly that we've written a bill. So the title of the bill is it the Snow White bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would that be breaching the right to her own story? Like, doesn't the government have to purchase the rights to that story, or else it's illegal to call it the Snow White bill?
Okay, so what should we call it?
Poison apple bill or something.
The Poison Apple bill. Okay, great.
I was gonna go with legally distinct pale person bill, but
Okay, who is taking the most initiative on this bill? Is it Hiram? Because he's the one that suggested it.
Sure. I'll take initiative.
Okay. You did take initiative. And I think I heard Denver and Claire both comment, and Nathaniel, right? So you guys, I just decided, are officially sponsors of our bill, okay? So there's going to be one sponsor that's the main person writing it, and then he or she can go get other people that are like, yeah, I like this bill too, and they would be co-sponsors. So we would write them all here. Okay, then we write in the date. So it is April 9th, 2024, right? Now on this line, we give a brief statement about what your bill will do if it's passed. So what would we say this bill will do?
Like what it's prohibiting, or what will happen if someone breaks it?
What it's prohibiting. So an act to prohibit
Poisoning apples.
Poisoning apples.
Poisoning apples with any lethal.
I think it should be like about
Yeah.
preventing poisoning like food.
Yeah, I think just poisoning in general.
Poison implies it's lethal, so you probably don't have to put that in there, but sure.
I would
Well,
agree
some
with that.
poisons aren't lethal.
They can just make you
It's not
sick.
poison then.
That's not how poison works.
Yeah, some can just really give you bad sickness.
Food.
Yeah, sometimes you just get really sick.
Or you get turned into a llama.
So just so that I don't run out of time because I'm about to, let's move on to the next section because we're just doing a demonstration this time. This next section is the preamble, and we have particular language. We start whereas, and then we give a clause. It can actually be more than one whereas clause if we want. These are your reasons for the bill. So what would be a reason for this bill?
People don't want to get poisoned and not know it.
Okay.
I would
Not
think that
like
people don't wanna
sleeping
get
for a long
poisoned.
time.
Okay.
Well, you could probably leave off the without knowing it, because I don't think people want to get poisoned, period.
Okay.
because
are
of
there
the prolific poisoning of portable pastries, we prefer that poisoning no longer be preferenced in terms of Princess's peril.
Elias, are you joining us? Is that Elias?
Yeah.
I mean, if I get to add that part, I'm totally joining you guys.
I totally didn't process it all. Whereas the prolific, what?
I certainly didn't process all that either.
I don't know either. Insert
The prolific poisoning of portable pastries
genius.
and other foods.
Yeah, great, thank you. Wait, Elias, are
Okay.
you coming next week?
The
Can
prolific
we also apply
poisoning
this to liquids in
Yep,
general?
I'm coming to Yes Week.
pastries. So what's the problem, Elias, with the prolific poisoning of pastries?
Will they cause a preponderance to princesses being poisoned?
Oh my goodness. Okay, and now we can take out insert Elias's genius comments because we now finished them. Okay, so
They're perilous too.
They're perilous.
Yeah, perilous poisoning princesses.
Perilously. Okay.
Which paralyzes parliamentary procedures.
Indeed it does, but I'm running out of room. Okay, so I would need to finish this first clause with an and then you can just keep going. The thing is, in bills, you're allowed to have run-on sentences. So you just say whereas this and whereas this and whereas this until you're done with your reasons, and that forms your preamble. Does that part make sense? I'm going to assume yes. Okay, I am running out of time, so we're not going to do all of these things right now, but I will just show you. So after your preamble is done, you go down and you write the main body of the bill. And this is where you're going to talk about what the actual law is. And there are different sections that you can write in your bill. And these are sections that you don't have to include every single one of them if they are not pertinent to your bill. But these are the kinds of things that you can put in. And so each of these sections starts with a therefore be it enacted, or therefore be it further enacted, and you would just fill in these blanks. So the first section could have a definition of any terms. Let's say you looked in the preamble and you didn't know what a preponderance was, then you could put in this, okay, now my computer is moving funny. Okay, so you didn't know what preponderance was, so you could put in this, therefore be it enacted, and then explain what a preponderance was as part of what you're having. That doesn't necessarily make sense to have it be enacted. But in this section, you include definitions. Then, therefore, be it further enacted, and you talk about why the bill is important. And then you talk about what will happen if the bill passes. Somewhere in here, and I'm realizing in this moment that this is what is missing, is actually talking about what is enacted. So therefore, be it enacted. Now you have to say what it is that you're making into law. So be it enacted, the poisoning of all foods is forbidden in the Everwood Alliance. And then you go on to explain these other parts. Okay, I feel like that last part was confusing. Does anybody, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions about that process of writing a bill?
So the things that they would clarify might be like the definition of food and the definition of poison.
Right. So anything that you need to include, any words you need to include in your bill that you think would need either clarification or specificity, how you are using the term, because as you may be able to guess, sometimes if laws are not really clear, then it becomes complicated for law enforcement or say the judiciary to understand how to apply those laws. And so you want to make sure your bill is as clear and as specific to that it's really communicating what you want it to get across.
Ms. Bonnie, your time has run out.
That is true. If anyone has any further questions, go ahead and stay for the committee meeting at the end of our regular meeting, and we will answer any more questions about how to write a bill. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you. I'll now entertain any motions.
I move that we adjourn to committee meeting for any question. No, that's not the right motion. I'm sorry, I have the wrong motion.
I move that we learn about how to convince other people of our ideas.
That's the right motion. I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The chair recognizes Nicholas for 10 minutes to help us learn about how to convince other people of our ideas.
All right, we just had a great lesson on how to write a bill, and you guys have some fantastic ideas of different issues that might require a new law to be passed to deal with them. But as we learned earlier, you can't just make a law happen. People have to vote for it. And if people vote nay, then it doesn't happen. So how do we get people to vote for our law? How do you convince people in your life? If you want
Give
somebody,
them reason.
give them reasons, you have to make an argument.
Bribe
And we
them.
have to do the same thing in
Did I just hear someone say bribe them?
Hopefully we aren't doing that in the assembly. To make an argument in the assembly, we will have debates, and you have to convince people of your ideas. It's not just automatic that they will believe you and think, oh yeah, we need to do that. So over the next few weeks, we'll teach you how to construct an argument, but today we're going to keep it really simple. The first element that you need in any argument is to make a claim. Sometimes people call this a thesis, but your claim is the main point that you want people to believe. So for example, somebody mentioned earlier the gingerbread story. There was a gingerbread man, and he was really good at running away from different characters that wanted to eat the gingerbread man. And one day he encountered a fox, and the fox tricked him, and he didn't run away from the fox. He got eaten by the fox. So maybe we say, we have a problem with foxes eating gingerbread men. We don't like this. Let's say that's our problem. But what are we going to do? We need to make a claim. So our claim would be a direct, clear statement of what we want done. We need to do something about these foxes. We need to make it so that foxes can't eat gingerbread men. That would be the claim. That's all there is to it. We'll get more details about how we add reasons and evidence to that claim. But for today, just remember to start making an argument, find your claim that you're going to make. I yield 2 minutes to Catherine to teach about logical fallacies, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Catherine is never.
Today, today we're going to learn about something called a red herring. A red herring is a fallacy or a falsehood that someone tries to use to divert your attention away from the original topic or question that the person is bringing up. One idea behind the word red herring is that it is named after the red fish that people would use to throw dogs off the scent if they were chasing someone. They would throw down a red herring and the dog would go eat the red herring and not go after the real thing at hand. Red herrings are used to deliberately by politicians, advertisers, salespeople, or anyone who wants to try to influence or persuade other people. They're used to avoid answering difficult questions, to shift blame, to create a false dilemma, to appeal to someone's emotions, to attack the character of the opponent, anything that's not related to the claim that the other person is making, or even the evidence that they're making. How do you spot a red herring? You ask yourself if the statement or question that's being presented has anything to do with the original topic or the main issue of that topic. And you look for logical inconsistencies, things that don't make sense. The argument doesn't make sense, doesn't relate to the claim, doesn't follow logic, isn't clear, whatever. Check the sources, the evidence, etc. We're just going to focus a little bit today on the idea of a red herring and the way that it works. And we'll get into the details of different things you can use to create a red herring a little bit later. But and we'll talk about how to expose them out as well later. But a red herring, anything to distract people from the real issue at hand. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Before I keep going, I just wanted to mention, before I turned the time over to Catherine, I said, I reserve the balance of my time. So what that means, I didn't clarify what that means. I have the floor because the chancellor gave me the opportunity to speak, but I wanted to invite Catherine to help me teach about arguments. And so I turned the time over to her for 2 minutes. Then I said I reserve the balance of my time, so the remaining time that I was given by the chancellor will come back to me. So thank you for that explanation. So we're going to give a little example now. So I've made a claim that says we need to make a law to keep gingerbread men safe from foxes. And now Catherine is going to try to debate my claim with a red herring.
I heard there's this really great bakery down the road that makes gingerbread men, and I think there need to be some legislation regarding how they make their gingerbread men.
So thank you for your comment, but we're talking right now. I'm trying to argue that we need to keep gingerbread men safe from foxes.
Well, but maybe better recipes would do that.
Maybe, but I think we need to make a law to create some safety for these gingerbread men.
Well, I like shortbread cookies too.
So you can see how this is going. Does Catherine's favorite gingerbread recipe or her shortbread cookies have anything to do with this argument?
Well, how about if we make gingerbread paths for where they can walk?
What do you guys think?
She's presenting many red herrings because they have nothing to do with the safety of the gingerbread. They're just, I don't know, just recipe or whatnot.
So they're somewhat related, but she's trying to distract us from the real point.
I know. Steel cut oats, and then they'll be made out of steel, and then they won't be able to be eaten.
So they seem to be related, and so that if you don't think about it, you might be thrown off. But at the end of the day, it's just to distract you.
Excellent point. That's what a red herring is, and that's how it can distract us from a claim. And with that, I now yield my time back to the Chancellor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor,
Yes.
may I ask for 2 minutes to discuss an additional optional activity that can be done by the members of the Assembly?
Yes. Miss Bonnie is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chancellor. Okay, so we're soon going to be adjourning the meeting, but I just wanted to let you guys know I made a template of how to write a bill. The thing that we were filling in today with our group bill, which we didn't get to finish, I made a little template so that you can each write your own bill, and it will be what you use at the Assembly. And I have an invitation for all of you, and this could be helpful for Yes Week in the Assembly. Your invitation is to write a bill before next week's workshop. So I will, in the email that I send out following this meeting with the recording link, I will also send a link to the PDF. You can print it out and write it in, or make a copy and fill it in your Google Docs, or however you want to do it, and write your own bill. And who thinks that they might want to do that? Denver, Clark, Hiram, Joy's gonna do it, Finn's gonna do it. Okay. Oh, Elias is gonna do it. Amy's gonna do it. Awesome. So I will send that out. Be watching in your emails for the recording of this meeting. That email that I send out will include the link to the PDF, so you can write your own bill and bring it next week, and then we can see what you guys came up with. Joy.
I was wondering if you might be able to make an example, a sample bill for us, so that when we have it, we also have a sample of what that looks like, filled out, not just the blank part.
Yeah. Well, how about I take the one that we worked on together, and I will just fill out the remainder portion and put that in the email as well. Okay. That sounds great. With that, I yield the balance of my time to the Chancellor.
Thank you. I will now entertain any motions.
I move that we adjourn until next week, Monday, April 15th at 3 p.m. to give time for a small committee meeting for a conversation on the role of the chancellor and other positions.
It has been moved that we adjourn until next week, Monday, April 15th at 3 p.m. and now hold a committee meeting for a conversation on the role of chancellor and other positions. Any seconds?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. This meeting is now adjourned until Monday, April 15th at 3 p.m.
But if any of you want to stay on and ask any questions, you can. We're going to specifically talk about the role of the chancellor in a little more detail, and answer any other questions. So you're all welcome to stay for that.
So I
Which
have a
means
question.
you're staying. Let's turn it over to any questions. Joy.
So I noticed that the chancellor said, so when you said, chancellor or something, you asked a question and he said yes. Is there a specific way that you're supposed to address, like in the middle of a meeting and we've been discussing something and you want to say something what do you say? How do you address the chancellor in the middle, in that moment? Not when he's saying, do you have any emotions, but just, in the middle of the discussion or whatever.
Right. So I said, Mr. Chancellor, to get his attention. And then what he could say is, for what purpose does the gentlewoman wish to be recognized? Which we went over in only a second. So there was no reason why you should have remembered that or should have said anything other than yes, because that worked out just perfectly. But that would be the parliamentary procedure would be me to say Mr. or Madam Chancellor, and then for the chancellor to reply, for what purpose does the gentlewoman or the lady wish to be recognized?
So is that different than when you say point of information or something else? And when is that appropriate? Or is that going to be discussed later?
We are going to go over things like points of information later. It would be the same kind of procedure. You could say, Mr. Chancellor, I wish to make a point of information, or you could just say point of information, and they could respond with, for what purpose do you wish to be recognized, or what is your point of information, or something along those kinds of lines. But it would be a similar thing where there are some times where you need to wait to be recognized, and then other times where you can interrupt or call out something, and then the chancellor can recognize you.
How do you know the difference when you can call out or not?
We're going to go, as we go over different motions and different points that you can bring up, we'll explain that all along the way.
Okay.
I've also noticed sometimes they complete their sentence. They complete a sentence. If they're in the middle of a sentence and their time runs out, they'll complete a sentence. If they want to complete an idea, they do have to ask for more time for that. Like they've got, a paragraph, they're in the middle of their paragraph, so to speak.
Okay. I guess I need to have faith that this is all going to, you're going to explain all this later.
We're going to try. And then we're going to also have a cheat sheet that you get to use at Yes Week to remind yourself of all of them. And if you don't do it exactly right, it's okay. Or there's even a motion for if you have questions about what the correct thing to say is. You're like, I know I want to say this thing, but I don't know how to say it. Or then you can ask a question about that. So we'll go over a lot of those things. And we want to be formal and we want to be accurate to parliamentary procedure. We want you guys to learn these things, and don't be afraid to make mistakes or to have questions, because that's okay. And we just may not get to every little detail in the workshop, but we'll do our best. Yes, Clark.
What exactly is a movement?